Alright, I got another budget IEM. This is the CCA NRA. Nothing to do with a gun association. Not sure what it stands for, but let's talk about it. Alright, first off, some disclaimers. This was sent out to me for review, but this won't affect my review in any way, shape, or form. Also, this is going to be more of a gamer review versus an audiophile review. I'll cover some audiophile, bits about it, because that does pertain to gaming. But the focus is how well do they perform in games. Okay, with, that being said, let's now talk about it. Here we have the box, and in the box, which is actually kind of nice looking in the inside, are the IEMs. A cable, some extra different size ear tips, as well as the manual. Now, the cable it comes with is not braided, but personally, I really like this cable. It's very simple and clean and doesn't tangle easily. Like most budget IEMs, it uses an angled 3.5mm jack, and unlike most budget IEMs, like I mentioned before, the cable isn't braided, and instead runs down two thick joined cords, which then divide at a very simple but sturdy splitter. And if you bought the version with the microphone, you get a very simple inline microphone that uses a single button for controls. Making sure that's on, okay. So right now, I'm recording off my iPhone to test this little microphone, this little guy right here, to see how it sounds, and it sounds pretty good for a budget IEM. A lot of IEM inline mics have been getting pretty good for what they are. They're usable, and they're not like the most amazing things in the world, but I don't really expect much out of it. So let's test out noise suppression of other noises like my keyboard here, which is a mechanical keyboard using tactile switches. The most tactile ones you can get, Box Royals, I believe. And I just want to see if it can essentially hear my voice over the keyboard more or not. I'm typing harder than I normally would. This is probably the volume I usually go at. And I'm not expecting much out of it, but fact is you can still hear my voice over it, which is good. And other software like on Discord and whatnot will help suppress those background noises and whatnot, but hey, for what you get, it's not bad. Now, as for the IEMs themselves, they're actually quite nice with the metal faceplates, though I'm not a big fan of the CCA on front of them. That's just personal taste for me. I would prefer an emblem or something. As for the rest of their body, it is plastic and transparent, allowing us to see the drivers on the inside, and on this particular color, I do think this looks kind of nice. The stem is plastic like the rest of the body and has a little grill to keep your nasty earwaxes out. As for connections, the CCA NRAs use 2-pin connectors, which are pretty normal on budget IEMs. Anyway, after putting it all together, here's how they're gonna look like on my head. They're pretty average size IEMs, so they don't stick out all that much from my head, so I don't look like super dorky with them on. In my opinion, they actually look kind of nice. As for fit and comfort, I'd say they were just okay. They fit well enough in my largest ears and comfortably enough in my largest ears. Mind you, the comfort also depends on which ear tips you use, as well as the shape of your ears, so your mileage will vary. Alright, now when it comes to the sound of these guys, I can tell you right off the bat, for me personally, it's not my cup of tea, because I like a very much more relaxed sound. These guys are a little bit more on the intense side with a pretty bright sound, and I've never been the biggest fan of bright sounds, but I know some of you guys out there really like brighter sounds. A bright sound usually constitutes a focus on the treble or the upper ranges of sound, so those higher pitched sounds, and these definitely do fit the bill. Now, this doesn't mean it's devoid of the bass and the mids. They're still there. It's just a greater focus on the highs, and it's very apparent that it's a bright sound. When it comes to the ranges, of course, the low range, the sub bass on these guys, not too great. That's like the super mega low deep notes. But when it comes to the rest of it, so like mid bass and upper bass and whatnot, it's not bad. The presence is definitely there. So the bass, I think, is a bit forward. The mids are okay. I mean, I don't know what else to call them. They're just okay. They're there. They are clear enough, but I think they do get overtaken by the highs, which are very present and very clear, but at times I do think it does get a bit too sharp for my taste. It can sometimes get sibilant, at least for me, because I'm sensitive to those higher ranges, but I think for those who are into brighter sounds, you'd probably be into these. The soundstage is actually pretty sizable for what it is. IEMs naturally have a much smaller soundstage, but for what you get out of a budget IEM, the soundstage is actually pretty decent. It's sizable enough for games, and when it comes to the imaging, it's surprisingly good on these guys. I actually thought they were fairly accurate for hunting down people in games, so that's always good to have. So when it comes to that, along with the sound signature, I do think it makes this a really good set for looking for people or hunting people or listening for people to avoid them, The rather bright and forward sound actually brought out a lot of the sounds I'm typically looking for when I'm playing more competitive games, so all those footsteps and gunshots and whatnot. And when it came to the sub bass not being as great, it didn't really bother me much, because rarely am I listening for super deep low notes to look for a person in the battlefield. Though I do think the high sounds in some games can get a bit sharp, and it's a little unpleasant when there's a lot of those sounds going on, and it's just a bit much, at least for me. And once again, I'm very sensitive to those really bright sounds. I'm a person who prefers a more relaxed kind of sound signature. That being said, do take what I say with a bit of a grain of salt, because simply because it's not like the sound signature I would go for. I feel like I'm going a little hard on them, though I can see the appeal, especially in competitive like shooters and whatnot, because honestly, when I was playing competitive shooters with this, I did really well in tracking people. I had a good time with that. It's just that when I'm listening to like music with a lot of bright sounds going on at the same time, or like a lot of high voices going on at the same time, for me, every now and then it kind of hurt, but maybe for you, you'd enjoy it. All that being said, the CCA NRAs offer a very bright, intense sound that I would probably most recommend for more competitive shooter games versus like the more casual worldly kind of games. So if you do want them, I'll leave a link in the description, and you know, that's just gotta be down there unless YouTube changes their stuff again. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have for today. So if this video did help you out at all, do leave me a like, because that'll help me in this algorithm space and whatnot. Subscribe if you want to see more content. But speaking of comments, do leave me a comment. How much would you be willing to pay for an IM? What's like the highest range? I'm still wondering how much you guys would pay for an IM. I know a lot of people want to go for like these budget boys. That's probably why you're on this video. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Right, I am streaming every now and then. I'm gonna leave that also down there where I'm streaming at, whether it's gonna be Twitch or YouTube. Not sure if I'm gonna switch from Twitch, because Twitch is saturated and I'm a small channel, you know, and all you guys are here where I'm at. I guess I could make a side channel or something like that, or maybe I should stream from here. Let me know in the comments. I have no clue. Anyway, that's pretty much enough rambling for me today, so see you guys next time.